My first name is Alex Skatolsky. The name of our organization is the Lewisburg Prison Project, and I'm the Outreach and Education Coordinator there. I'm also on the board of directors. The organization started back in 1973 here in central Pennsylvania, and it was started by just a group of local concerned citizens who were aware of how many prisoners were at the local penitentiary. The Lewisburg penitentiary here is just about 5 minutes from our office downtown, and built back in the 1930s, and typically houses somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500 and 2,000 prisoners. The founders of the organization decided that there really needed to be somebody kind of looking after the rights and the well-being of those inmates at the Lewisburg Penitentiary. And then over the years, the organization has expanded to include state and federal prisons throughout the Middle District of Pennsylvania. Okay. The messages that we try to deliver to both the inmates and to the public is that regardless of what someone may have done in their past, what they're incarcerated for, and how long they're incarcerated, they're still entitled to basic human dignity and human rights. And we try to communicate that to all of the prisoners we come in contact with, and also, the students and the general public that we work with. Let them know that this is a vulnerable population whose rights can easily be overstepped by the prison system and by the correctional staff if there aren't people who are helping them protect those rights through legal research and advocacy. Yeah, when we talk to inmates, there usually is already an understanding about their situation and why they need to come in contact with us in the first place. So we, most of the time, pretty much all of the time, it's the prisoners themselves who initiate the contact with us. So we don't necessarily go to the prison and kind of advertise what we're doing. Word of mouth gets around about our organization through state and federal and county jails. Other inmates a lot of times will say, if they have a cellmate or someone, they meet in the cafeteria who's having some trouble with their conditions of confinement, so how they're being treated in prison, then they may say, oh, I know this local organization that can, help you, do what research you need to do and go through the process to make sure that we can kind of fix this sort of thing.
There are numerous rights that inmates in prison are not fully aware of.
There are some rights that the inmates don't really know about, and a lot of contact from family members, loved ones of prisoners who contact our organization and want to help their sons or brothers or fathers or uncles in prison. They're just not really aware of what their loved ones are entitled to in prison.
African American men are 6 times as likely to be incarcerated than white men, so race does play a huge factor in mass incarceration.
The representation of African Americans and Latinos is proportional to the rest of society than white Americans. And so the rate of incarceration, where 1 in every 100 adults in this country falls under some form of criminal supervision, is already a reason to be concerned. But then whatever is happening in the prison, because there's a larger percentage of people of color in the prison, is affecting people of color more than it is white Americans. You're no longer eligible for Section 8 housing, for a lot of federal funding. It's harder to get a job. And so that happens from generation to generation to generation. So the more people of color that we're incarcerating and putting in that situation, when they come out, it makes their lives harder and it makes their family lives harder. So it affects entire communities and entire families along those racial lines. Oh, yeah. What we do on a day-to-day basis, we receive a lot of letters. Inmates benefit from our organization both in terms of receiving a lot of legal research that it may be hard for them to get otherwise. They're trying to dispute some disciplinary action that they're getting in prison.